What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Legit Whiskey Reviews, and today I'll be reviewing Booker's 2021-03. This is the Bardstown batch. So as some of you may or may not know, when it comes to Booker's, they usually release 4 times a year, and each batch has a specific name named after something that the distiller was going for, or something that has to do usually with Booker's, with Booker No, who the bourbon is named after. So when it comes to Booker's also, you know, maybe like 2-3 years ago, I used to see these on the shelf, and I used to see them anywhere between $65 to $75. And nowadays, you don't really see them on the shelf. And when you do see them, they're usually going between $90 and $100, usually closer to the $100 mark, sometimes even more. So that's the reason I've been staying away from these. Let's see, this one here is, like I said, the 3rd batch of the year, and they usually release 4 times a year. Although last year in 2020, with the pandemic and everything else going on, they only released 3 batches last year, but every other year they release 4 batches. I know this year they just released, as I'm filming this video, they just released the 4th batch. I don't recall what it's called or anything like that, but like I said, this is a 3rd batch, and this one is 62.75% ABV, so 125.5 proof, and this is 6 years and 5 months old. And when it comes to Booker's, the presentation, they usually always knock it out of the park. You get this cool box with the little glass case here, and the bottle inside, and you usually get all the information on the bourbon in here. It has the story of why the batch was called what it was, and then in the back you get every warehouse from the story, 9th story, 7th story, and then what percentage of the barrels were picked from that specific story and from that specific warehouse. So I think that's really cool. You know, they include all the information you need is on there. And so this one's called the Bardstown batch. Why is it called the Bardstown batch? Well, the former master distiller, and you know, this bourbon is called Booker's, from Booker No. So Booker used to love Bardstown. He wasn't born there, but he spent most of his life in Bardstown, Kentucky. And his son, who's a master distiller now, Fred No, he lives in Bardstown, and he spends most of his time in Bardstown. And then Booker's grandson and Fred's son, Freddie No, he also spends a lot of time and most of his time in Bardstown, and that's where they get the Bardstown batch. So that's why you know, they decided to call it the Bardstown batch. So you know, this one comes out of the Jim Beam distillery, and it's uncut, you know, straight from the barrel. So when it comes to Booker's, like I don't know if I mentioned it, but like I've been staying away from it for the last few years just because of the price, and you just can't find it. And you know, the last batch that I actually had was the 2019-03, I believe, and this one is the Country Ham. That one was excellent. I've had a few pours of other batches, but they were nowhere near what I thought the Country Ham was. So hopefully, you know, I saw this one on the shelf for $85. I said, you know what, I'm gonna pick it up. It's been a while since I had one of the batches, and for $85, even though I still think it's overpriced, it's not as bad as I've seen when I do see it on the shelf. So I just thought I'd pick it up and try it, and you know, and see what we get. So let's go to the color. So as far as the color, this has a nice dark amber honey color. Nice color, and it's completely coating the glass, just like sticking to the glass completely, no legs. So yeah, it's sticking completely to the glass, so that's a good sign so far. All right, let's go to the nose. So the first thing with this batch that I noticed, but I noticed more when I first opened the bottle, is that classic Jim Beam peanut nuttiness. It's definitely, you're definitely gonna get that in here. So you get that strong like peanut note, which personally I like. You know, I love the Jim Beam profile, and that's the reason I like so many Jim Beam products. You know, like Knob Creek, I'm a huge Knob Creek fan. You know, certain Booker's batches I like, but Knob Creek is probably one of my favorites, and you get a lot of that peanut, you know, in a lot of Jim Beam products. So yeah, after the peanut, what I noticed right away after that is you're gonna get a ton of baking spices in here. So there's a whole lot of cinnamon in here. You get the clove. This makes me think of fall. It's like perfect for now, you know, because I'm getting all these like baking spices. Like I said, the cinnamon, the clove. There's a ton of spice in here. There's a good amount of sweetness and maybe like a cherry note. And there's some oak coming through as well. And a little bit of pepper on the nose. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. And I noticed with the previous Booker's batch that I had, and then with this one so far, and that happens a lot with Booker's, in the bottle and in the glass. So the more you have it open, it just changes in the bottle. Usually gets better, and that's what I noticed with Booker's. The more you just you pour it and you let it sit in the glass, I feel like it changes and it opens up and it constantly changes in the glass, and I really like that. So just from the little while that I've had it, from when I first put my nose to it to now I'm getting, there's a little bit of a green apple note that I didn't get when I put my nose in here a little bit earlier. So yeah, like I said, it just constantly changing if you just let it sit in the glass for a good 10, 20 minutes. But for the purpose of this review, obviously I can't do it for that long. And there's a good amount of vanilla and caramel here, like deep, rich caramel vanilla. But yeah, I feel like what sticks out the most in the nose is the peanut, the baking spices, the spice, pepper, and the oak. But mainly that spice, the baking spices, and the peanut. Those are the three that really like jump out at you right away. But yeah, it smells really good on the nose so far. Let's go to the palate. Cheers. Wow. This is a good batch. So everything that I mentioned on the nose, I'm getting on the palate. Extremely long finish. It's just lingering, just spice, sweet oak, pepper. There's a good amount of pepper here. I love that pepper note when it's not overdone. Some ryes and some bourbons, like, to me it's like over the top with the oak, but this one has a good amount of pepper. I don't know if I got that wrong, but the pepper. So there's just a good amount of pepper, and it's not overdone. It's just like perfect, like a perfect balance with the pepper and everything else that's going on. So the peanut you're definitely gonna get in the palate, but I get that cherry. There's a lot of sweetness. And then, like I said, the baking spices and the spice and the pepper is what takes over the palate, you know, on the first sip. And that sweet oak, like there's more oak to me in the palate than there was on the nose, and it's a very sweet oak, so it's perfectly in balance with everything else. Yeah, so far so good. And you know, usually with Booker's, when I'm sipping on it, I take my time because like I mentioned, it's a very long finish. It's still lingering in my palate. So yeah, it's a very long finish. Let's try it again. Yeah, so completely, like, it's not changing on the palate. It's staying consistent. I got a little bit more oak this time, but that oak is just so sweet. It's not bitter, tannic, or off-putting. It's like, if you like oak, or if you're not too fond of oak in your bourbons, you're gonna get it in this one, but it's like a sweet oak. It's so perfectly, you know, it's so perfectly in line with everything else that you're getting on the palate. It's just, this is amazing. And I feel like Booker's is back to being Booker's. This is what I think of when I think Booker's. So this is a good batch. I really like it. And if you like that Jim Beam profile, you're gonna get it in here. And like I said, if you like the Booker's profile, you're gonna get it in here. So everything that you know Jim Beam and Booker's for, you're gonna get in here, in my opinion. So that caramel sweetness is also like lingering too. So yeah, this is an excellent batch. Let me try it with some water. Since it is such a high proof, I want to try it and just see, just try a few drops in here and just see what we get with the water. So, just a little bit there. But yeah, so far so good. I'm really impressed with this batch. I'm glad I picked it up. I saw it on the shelf and I was going back and forth, and you know, just yeah, $85. It's a lot of money, but compared to how I've seen it some other places, I'm like, you know what? I pulled the trigger because I really enjoyed the last batch of Booker's I had. And like I said, I've had pours of a few others, but they weren't nowhere near the other Booker's batches that I had and the one that I have here, the Country Ham. So, but yeah, this one didn't disappoint, and I'm glad I picked it up. But let's try it with the water now. So it's weird with the water on the nose. I feel like it got sweeter, and well, I'm still getting cinnamon. I feel like the baking spices kind of went down. The spice turned down a notch. The pepper, I don't really pick it up. I still pick up some oak. It's still sweet oak. And I'm getting kind of like an herbal note. I don't know what type of herbal note this is, but I'm getting a little bit of herbal also. So yeah, I mean, it changes. I don't think it's bad, you know, it's just different. But my preference as far as the nose, I wouldn't add water to it. Just, you know, I enjoyed it more on the nose without the water. But let's go where it counts again, the palate. Yeah, this is still excellent with the water. I feel like the notes that were really turned up, I'm still getting a ton of cinnamon. I feel like the peanut kind of, you know, took a back seat. I'm still getting that sweet oak, but I feel like the pepper, which I really enjoyed, and the spice, which I also enjoyed, it's pretty much like non-existent compared to the other notes that I was picking up, you know, that I picked up just now. But so in my opinion, as far as I wouldn't add any water to this just because I really enjoyed it without the water. But somebody that's not used to bourbon, or just somebody new to higher proof whiskeys, I say, yeah, I'll try adding some, you know, maybe like some ice, or maybe just a little drops of water. I feel like, you know, you might enjoy it at first because you're not used to such a high proof. So I feel like either way though, this is excellent. Yeah, my personal preference though, you know, I just wouldn't add water to it because I enjoyed it so much. But yeah, either way, I don't feel like it diminishes the whiskey. I feel like it just changes it, and it just depends on your preference. So yeah, this is excellent. Do I recommend this batch? Yes, as much as I hate to say it because it's Booker's. I'm gonna give it an A for my final score. I feel like I really enjoy it, and I'm gonna keep sipping it. But you know, I'm just giving it an A and not an A plus because you know, it's expensive and it's hard to find, and those two things are just off-putting for me, because one specific bourbon right now that I can think of that could go toe-to-toe with this one, and it's probably like $40 to $50 cheaper than this one, is the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. One of my favorites. It's, you know, cheaper. It's right around the same age or even older. I think they use between 6 to 8 year barrels in their batches. So you know, so about the same age, let's just say, and way cheaper. And while it's different, I feel like I feel like Wild Turkey Rare Breed that comes to mind right now. I'm sure there are others, but I feel like that can hang with this one, and I feel like I want to try it in a blind. I might do that soon. Just put it in a blind with the Wild Turkey Rare Breed and see what happens. You know, expensive versus not expensive, and just put them head to head. I think Wild Turkey will give it a good matchup, but yeah, this was good. I really enjoyed it, and I can't knock it. You know, I'm glad I picked it up. So if you like my content, remember to smash that like button. Remember to subscribe. You can catch me on Instagram at LegitWhiskeyReviews, and keep it legit and do it for the love of whiskey. Cheers.